I was struggling to see past the better version of me. Put it this way, I was 7 years old and I didn't know how to write my name. One of my big mistakes was actually trusting you. Everything happens when it's meant to happen. I'm black, you're black, put me on. I'm just a matchstick, bro. But I'm happy being that guy. Yeah. So happy being that guy. It's unreal.
So you're here now. You've made the decision to click the link in order to watch or listen to this podcast. Now that's dope, but I'm going to have to ask you to do more than that. I need you to become part of the Forums community. I need everyone to hit the like button, share, subscribe, and comment, because what we are doing here is about more than content. It's a movement. We live in a world where the announcement culture is at the heart of everything we do. We often share our greatest achievements, whether that's passing a driving test, flawlessly executing daily routines, and don't forget about the morning 5K runs with avocado toast breakfast to go with it. The list goes on. But what we don't often share are the hiccups we made along the way. Sharing that you failed the driving test 4 times before passing the 5th. The 2 nights before, you woke up at 11 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. because you didn't have enough strength to do that run in the morning. And instead of avocado toast, you had Cocoa Pops and milk. But Jordan, what are you saying? Are you saying that we shouldn't share our successes? Are you saying that we shouldn't be proud of our achievements? No, I'm not saying that. I'm a culprit of these things myself. I'm saying that I think it's time for a change in the narrative around success. I think it's time we share a balanced view on what it means to achieve something. What I often say is, for every big success, there are 1,000 little failures. It's in these failures where the true treasure lies. When we say someone has experience, it's not just because of the knowledge. It's because they've practiced and made mistakes, so therefore they know what not to do in any given situation. That's what this show is about. My first guest is the managing director of Wall of Productions, one of the men behind the camera for some of the most entertaining content we've had over the last couple of years. From working with Amazon Prime to Foot Asylum and ProDirect, to producing major creatives such as Young Philly, Nico Omalana, Young Bane, his work really does speak for itself. He shared how his character has been tested on his journey and revealed how finally betting on himself allowed him to make strides in his career. So, my name is Jordan Johnson, and this is Tafara Makopa. Welcome to My Mistakes Made Me. Welcome to the My Mistakes Made Me podcast. My name is Jordan Johnson, and here we have my special guest, Tafara Makopa. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good, bro. I'm good. Good to be here.
Amazing. I'm so excited to have you, honestly.
No, I'm honored. I'm the first guest.
Yes, first guest.
Bro, history. That's me done now. I can retire. I can go home. I can tell mom to be proud. I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
We know you've done bigger things and stuff like that before, but we do really appreciate you coming on.
Nah, man, I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into, the nitty-gritties of your story and all that kind of stuff, and just to see, what you could offer our guests.
100%, man, 100%. I'm actually excited. This is nice and comfy. I'm actually gonna sit very, very comfortable.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, then we can actually get into this properly.
Get as comfortable as you can, because that's the hot seat over there.
It feels it as well. It feels it. I can feel it a little bit. It feels it.
Okay, so the first question is, what is a mistake to you?
See, this is a very good question, because I don't really see mistakes as mistakes, isn't it? Because I feel like, they do exist, they're mistakes, but for me, it's like the biggest learning curve that anyone can ever have. Exactly. Right? Because there's a reason why you made that decision that then turned out to be the mistake. Mm-hmm. I feel like very rarely people go into making a mistake fully well knowing that they're making a mistake. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's like, we'll go out and then you go back home with someone, you're like, I shouldn't have done this, but you knew at the start. But however, like in terms of mistakes that change your life and etc., like you very rarely do people go into it, make a decision fully well knowing at that stage that it's a mistake, but it turns out to be a mistake from the experiences and from hindsight. And if you could do it different, you could have done X, Y, Z. That's how it turns out to be a mistake. Exactly. So for me, like, to go back to your question, a mistake is I think it's the biggest learning curve in everyone. Mm-hmm. Like anything that you can do, a mistake is like, we all need one.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
absolutely. It's something that we could all, grow and learn from,
100%.
straight away. I think mistakes have such a bad connotation. When we titled the podcast "My Mistakes Made Me," you get different reactions from people. Some people are like,
100%.
"Oh yeah, that's a great name," and then
Yeah.
other people sometimes like, "Why do you want to, talk about mistakes?" But what intrigued you to kind of, to be able to talk about your mistakes and come onto the podcast?
It's learning, bro. Because you know what I realized, not just within our community, but people in general. People really don't like to share information that's free. I don't know why. I'm still trying to dissect it. I've got my own theories on it, but for me, it was like if I can do something, right, and then can explain it to someone else for them to not do the same thing again, and then have the same outcome that I had, or at least tell them that when I did it this way, and then this was my outcome, then at least one other person is not gonna suffer.
Yeah.
Because like I've already done that, and then if someone else can do the same for me, the world is 100% a better place for everyone. So it's just about playing your part and going, oh my God, I did this part here. Let me let the world know that look, this don't do it like this.
Yeah.
Then if someone else let me know certain things that I've done in my past and to not do like that, I'll be happier.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you learn from those things as well. So I think for me, it's just sharing lessons and sharing teachings.
Absolutely. So, what would be the biggest mistake you feel like you've made in this, maybe in your career, in your life,
Do you know that I was thinking of this before? I was like, what would I say is like the biggest mistake that I've made? And hand on heart, I was like, do you know what? The biggest mistake, because we've made a whole heap of mistakes, right? But for me, the biggest mistake I think I've made was not believing in myself early enough.
Yeah.
Like, somebody asked me a question and said, oh, I think it's another podcast that I done, and then she asked me a question. She's like, start your life again with everything you know now, or have 20 million. I was like, I'll start my life again with everything I know now.
Absolutely.
Because it's like now I know that 20 million can easily be 100M, and now that I know that, I know if I was to go back again, I would be, realistically, I would have been, I'm about seriously 4 years deep into what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I would be, and I'm 31 this year, right?
Yeah.
I'll be 31 years deep into what I'm doing now. Had I known some of the things and the decisions that I made and the reasons why I made those decisions at the start. So for me, my biggest one is not believing in myself early enough.
Yeah. And, with these mistakes that you made, let's say not believing in yourself, what do you think the reason behind that was? Was it societal pressure? Was it family?
Both, It's the society pressure, and then there's just self-confidence, which is a huge thing. And I think like as black men, we don't really talk about that.
Yeah.
Like me at school, I was not the coolest kid at school, bro. Like I was not that kid. I have one best friend out of my school, right? A guy called Ashley, best friend till now.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to you, Ash. Like 17 years I've known this kid, and he was the only person that I was semi-vulnerable around. Everyone else, I was not the cool kid. I was a geek at school, bro. Like I was, and so with that, it's like I always had ideas and content ideas and ideas, funny ideas and how to structure things, but I couldn't do that because when I was at school, I was branded the geek because I was good at maths. And academically, he kind of came me remembering things academic wise. I was not like any special. I just remembered things. And I knew how to pass exams. So it's not like I was like a ridiculous genius. Nah, I just knew if you give me a piece of information, I'll remember it. And when it comes in an exam paper, I'll write it. And that was it. So because I was branded the geek, I struggled to then come out of the geek shell.
Absolutely.
Because that geek shell became really comfortable. Like really comfortable. And I was not the cool kid, I didn't grow up with stuff. Like I remember the first time I bought myself trainers that I really wanted, I was 16, and it was a mixture of my EMA money and my money from McDonald's. I was working at McDonald's at the time, and I went into Foot Locker and I bought myself some Air Force Ones. I was chuffed. Them times Air Forces were like 35 quid. So it was like the best thing I did. I done for myself. And even wearing them, sometimes I felt a bit awkward because I was so used to not having a lot and not looking like everyone else and not doing those type of things. So it was just that pressure of I was struggling to see past the better version of me. Based on the circumstances that I was in, I just didn't want to. I was struggling. It got so comfortable being, weirdly enough, it got so comfortable being poor and everyone else knowing that, and everyone else just kind of seeing you going, like, you're not the coolest kid in school. You don't have the nicest clothes. You don't have the nicest shoes. You don't have the nicest anything. Like, I remember, like, when I was like 17, 18, my friends were going on holidays. Bro, the first time I went on a holiday when I left the country, it was a work holiday. I was 24. So you can, like, that's 6 years ago. That's the first time I started traveling. And before that, I couldn't afford to. So, like, coming up that shell was why then I then kind of never believed in myself and never really trusted my decisions, because it's like, I'm already labeled this guy anyway. So what the hell am I doing thinking I can be anything better than this kind of thing? Yeah. So that was like the mindset at the time. So, yeah.
I appreciate that, because for me, you know, it's weird. It's funny how, you know, people's situations are so relative to them. You know, for me, 100%. I would never look back at the time when I was in school. And for me, you know, going on holidays, you know, every 3 years, 4 years was like, you're not as rich as the middle class white kids who used to go on holidays every 2 months, bro.
Yeah, every half term they're coming back and telling you a story about a place. Yeah, and then you don't even know how to spell the flipping place they've just told you they've been. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, and I'm just there like, so. But for me, it made me feel like I have to prove something, because I had to be cooler in another way.
100%.
You know what I mean? And
100%.
For me, it went to like music and trying to like sing to get the girls and be cool.
See, for me, it was slightly similar, but a little bit different. So I never went to preschool, right? Like family issues growing up. I never went to preschool, and I've got 4 siblings, right? And I was the dumbest one of all 4 of us. Wow. I'm the third one, and my little sister's. My little sister at the time went to nursery, did all of that stuff. I didn't. Long story, but I didn't at the time, and she knew. Put it this way, I was 7 years old and I didn't know how to write my name. Wow. So now, like, because I was too old to go to preschool and do all of that stuff to learn those things, it was now a situation of, now you have to go into school, right? And the type of schools I went to, because this time I was still living in Zimbabwe, which is where I was born, the type of schools I went to were not your top schools. Yeah. They were like your bottom tier schools, right? And I remember, like, being the oldest, but the dumbest at the same time. And that pressure, that bullying that came from everyone else, like, I barely know how to count. I barely know how to write my name. I barely know how to do any of these things, right? And it's like, I just had to be like, this is where the self-confidence completely died out of me. Because that's when I was just like, yo, this is, I don't know what I'm going to do here. Yeah. But what that did to me to a certain extent was, I always felt like I was behind. Yeah. So everything I do now, I carry that, like, I always feel like I'm behind. So that's why, like, even now I look at the stuff that we've done and I'm like, no, I want more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the transition was then, because I'm an August baby. Then when I came here, immediately I was youngest. Yeah. So there was like, I was one of the youngest in my year. I went from being one of the oldest and dumbest and being one of the youngest and smartest. So it was like, but then that's when the geek thing then kind of completely sat in as well. Yeah. So it was like a massive transition. So I completely understand. No girl when I was in school ever looked at me. Promise you. And I knew it as well. Yeah. Wow, year 8, year 9, it was peak. Yeah. Nothing, bro. Nothing. Uni, things changed. I started to play basketball. Okay. I started meeting some people. I started becoming a bit cooler. And I started, I started working a bit harder. But from teenage years, long day.
So that period where you came from Zimbabwe, and you had that flip, and you said it basically created this underdog mentality in your mind of like, you
100%.
Prove yourself.
Always, man, 100%. And I still feel like that now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I still feel like the one thing that makes me get up and do the stuff that I do is the fact that I feel like I'm so far behind everyone. Yeah. Like, so far behind everyone. It's unreal. Yeah. But even when people are like, oh, you're like, well done, man. Just to shoot fit, 1 million views in 12 hours. I'm like, nah, man. Sidemen get that in 2 hours. Yeah. So we need to work harder. Like, every single time, it's like, it's only like when I speak to mum, that's when she's like, you know what? I'm proud of you, you've done so well. Yeah. And and sometimes I get that reminder to go, actually, I'm not doing too bad, but I still feel like, nah, we need to keep it moving. I still feel like that. and it still is in me.
Yeah.
And that's why I always like keep shelled, keep private, and keep working.
And keep going.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you know. I thought about it as well, and I've recently, even starting this podcast for me was like a big thing, you know. Me, somebody who I, in a way, you know, really respected, and they put me on to, you know, help me, you know, push this. And when I finally achieved it, it was like,
What more?
yeah, like it was just
It's the underdog thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you.
And
We need to stamp it out though.
Yeah,
We do, because I think sometimes we need to celebrate the little successes and keep
Yeah.
you going. But I just feel like I don't know what it is. And we say this, right? Me and my two other business partners, Javan Wade and Sir Ascot, we talk about these things a lot and talk about ambition, what we want to do, the vision. And Percy always says this thing to me all the time, which is, you know, the aim is not to live forever, but to create something that will.
yeah.
Now that is like,
Beautiful.
yeah, and also that is, and Javan always talks about legacy. Like, honestly, like if he says legacy one more time, I might actually punch him. But it's like he constantly says the word legacy, 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 and that's what's kind of got into me a bit more now. But it's also about celebrating the milestones and understanding the milestones as well. Because sometimes you'll be working so much you don't realize that you've reached it, and then you keep, you know, you keep doing stuff and just taking that time to go, what have we done this week? What have we achieved this week?
Yeah.
And what's that? And we do it to ourselves. It's like the other time I rang the guys, I said, yo, you know what, we'll finish Q1 and our revenue for Q1 has been X, you know, and our profit's been X. They all went, wow, that's just Q1. I'm like, yeah, that's what we did 2 years ago. That's what we did in a whole year. And everyone's like, wow.
Yeah.
And we didn't even make money 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We did the revenue number, but lost money, you know?
Mhm.
Everyone's like, oh, wow, like this is great. So it's like, yeah, that's the same,
Yeah.
that's the same kind of thing that we kind of have to take a step back and go, let's celebrate those little moments.
So talk to me about I don't know if it's a mistake necessarily, but talk to me about, I was on your social media page and I saw
Yeah.
on your story, you know, somebody had shared your number or somebody had released your number.
Yeah.
And you're a very private person, yeah.
Do you know what? Like I'm very, very, very private, and even so private that one of my friends said to me, yo, you know, when I look at your Instagram, I don't even know what you do. I was like, I love that. I was like, you know what? This is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And also Percy's like, oh, yo, we need to get Instagram to verify your account. Anxiety attack, bro. I can't do it.
Wow.
And then he's like, because for me to be able to do that, my Instagram has to go public for a while. And it's not like I'm a big deal, and you know,
Yeah.
no, I love the fact that I'm not.
But people know your work though, you know, if they
I prefer that.
it.
Just know the work, and the person is a different person. I really prefer separating the two.
Yeah.
And that was a huge, I think for me it was a huge mistake because I know who it is. I found out who it was. And that's when I was like, the biggest mistake I've ever made. Not biggest, but one of my big mistakes was actually trusting you.
Yeah.
And actually believing that like you're a person I could put trust in, and you're a person that I can be around, and you're a person that's, you know, that has the privilege to having all of this, you know, to be around me. And I should have known that. Like from some of the things that they've done in the past, not done in the past, but done in around me, and also some of the stories they've told, I should have been a bit more wiser to go do this. And the big, not regret, but big mistake-ish out of that was not trusting my gut instinct.
Yeah.
Like I should have just trusted my gut the first time I felt a bit iffy.
Yeah.
I should have gone, nah, I can't have you around me. You're not the type of person to have around me.
Just distance yourself.
Exactly. Like, bro, it was everything.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, and the way they did it, which, thank God for Instagram, bro. Thank God for Instagram. We reached out to them, understood what we're doing, helped us investigate, helped me narrow it down to who he was, and actually point out this is the person and this is what the kind of are and stuff like that. Heads down to that. And everybody was running around. Like my business partners were running around. Anyone who knows me personally was running around. My sister was going crazy. She's running around, and because like that anxiety of like, even now, bro, I'm in the process of moving house. Like I can't, because do you know what I mean? Like for me, it's
Back in
not.
your mind.
Yeah, it's in the back of my mind. Like I can't not do that. And I think, and if that person knew that as well, and they did that, and it's like, but why?
Yeah.
And he was mad because they even sent me a message, crud, bro. Like you keep sending goons, come at me, bro. I'm like, bro, like This time they're still sending. They're still sending
Yeah.
the messages with the fake meat.
For context, let's tell the people what actually happened. Yeah. For
So
context.
so what actually happened? Like I'm sleeping not so long ago actually.
Yeah.
I wake up to there's a lady called Vashti. She's the woman that she literally runs my life. So she's like my PA, my sister, my advisor, my mentor. She is great. Like she's a big part of my life in terms of like this career and everything I'm doing. And my business partner, Jivan. The first mess, I must have woken up around 7 o'clock normal time, 7 or 7 in the morning. And I've got a message from Jivan that's going, yo, if you set up a new Instagram, you've put your number on this. Right? This time it was just my work number. So it's cool. So I didn't go crazy with that because a lot of people have that number and that's the number that gets shared around if people are trying to get hold of me or whatever. But that's cool. And then I went and then he sent me the screenshot. And I'm like, wait, they've literally done me basically. And then Vashti sends me a message like around 9 o'clock in the morning going, I know you're not stupid enough to open an Instagram with your thingy on it. So I'm now going on it now, right? Imagine I'll go on it, refresh the page. It's just my name. And it's just literally a copy of what I have on my bio, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, everyone knows that. I refresh again, my number is there. I'm like, nah, you're having a laugh. I refresh again, I've got a private number. And this is the number that's literally, I can give you everyone's name, right? And I can count them on both my hands that have that number, right? And I don't use it for any work. I don't use it for anything. It's just, it was getting mad for me to get back to mom, get back to my sister, back to my grandma. It was just long because like every time I say I'll get back to them, I then have another 65 messages before I get to theirs. So it was just, I was missing messages. Like if you look at it now, there's like over 300 unread WhatsApp messages and all of that stuff. And I'm hoping this bank holiday I can clear them. But yeah, so I was just like, nah, that's now one step way too far. Next thing was my postcode. Oh, anxiety hit me massively.
My man's just like, why? Why would somebody, even...
Why is a misunderstanding. Do you know, like sometimes, again, I think I know the why, but we're yet to have that open conversation to say, why did you do that? And to be fair to them, they probably felt like they should have done that. But for me, it was like completely unwarranted.
Yeah.
And I also like, I've got a Snapchat, but my Snapchat is again quite intimate, right? And my Snapchat is on there.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And then you put in pictures, you're sending me this, you're sending me that, and then there's an account, just a random account that followed them, and then sent the messages like, yo, like, why are you doing this? Because you're not. And by the way, I don't even know the person that followed them to say this.
Yeah.
It must have been someone that follows me already, and whatever it was. And they went crazy on them and like, oh yeah, tell this person to have a heart and a soul, blah 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 blah. Like they're going crazy, and then I'm like, okay, cool, but why? And the big why is like people do make emotional decisions, and people make emotional decisions without context, right? And I've always kind of had this conversation with the people that I love and the people that are around me, which is like, how much rather you ignore me for the next 2-3 days, 4 days, while you're gathering your thoughts properly, than you say something that you can't ever take back.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I used to do, bro. Like so many relationships that I've broken by reacting out of emotions. Like I've done the craziest things out of emotion. And because I'm quite emotional and I'm quite private as well. So but when I lash out, it's like very, very emotional. Like to the point where like one of my cousins says to me, like, if I ever have issues with anybody, like my husband or my in-laws, whatever, I won't tell you.
Yeah.
I tell you after it's settled because I know what you're like. You're just going to act.
Yeah.
But that's one. So for me, I can not understand. I can see why they did that. But there's also like boundaries.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's also like boundaries, and there's also things that you do without really understanding how you're damaging somebody's mental health and how you're doing that. So it was crazy, bro. That day was stress. It was a Monday as well. What I waited to start week, innit? It was a Monday, and that completely wiped me up the whole day. And thank God for technology, and thank God for Instagram, bro. And and everyone in that team that just helped to make sure that this didn't escalate much more and kind of shut it, nip it down in its bud. But every single person that follows me that understood and reported that account helped. Because it's like, even when I was speaking to them, they're like, yeah, we've had over like 500 people reporting this account already. And this was like within the first 2 hours. So for me, I was like, thank God for every single person that did that. But yeah, stress.
At the time, I hadn't even met you yet, and I was still like, report, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
report.
yeah, but I was, bro, that day, and I appreciate that day. Oh, that's probably one of my worst days, like, in life, period.
Wow.
Because, like, you feel naked in front of the world.
That shows you that your privacy, you take it to...
Yeah,
for you, it's a whole...
It's a whole different level. If I invite you to my house and my home, I trust you with my life. Do you know what I mean? The reason why you have those details is because you've got my private number, you've got my house, you know where I live. I've invited you into my home because I trust you, and because I actually have a lot of love for you as a person. Yeah. And then for you to then, do you know what I mean? But that's, again, I'm guessing that's their mistake as well. Do you know what I mean? But for me, after that, we're done. Like, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah. So your mistake was just not seeing the red flags, within that person.
Yeah. And not again, the trust in yourself thing.
Yeah. And do you feel like, how do you feel like your success, played into that relationship? Do you think it was the person was around because of success or because of, what they could get from you? Or?
Maybe. Because you just don't know with people. Yeah. But I just feel like it was such a... like, I'm one of those people that I just look at, it's what you do with people when the relationships are not great that defines who you are as a character. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Absolutely. So if now we're cool now, everything's good, posting your stuff, doing this, doing that, and whatever it is, and we've had a good run, we've had a good day, a good chat, and then we fall out over something, right? Life happens, we fall out over something. If I dare then badmouth your podcast and all the good work that you've done and expose some certain stuff.
I hope not.
No, but that tells you who I am as a character.
It does.
Do you get what I mean? Because I'm now not focusing on the problem at hand. I just want you to perish. Yeah. So that as a character is poison. Like, that is one of those things that you look at and you go, I am so glad you've done that now, because 10 years down the line, when you've got 10 years worth of material, you would actually ruin me. And I can't ever allow somebody like that to have that much power and have that much, because that is just, that's a mindset that's very evil. Do you know what I mean? To say, I'm not gonna forget everything you're building. Bro, bear in mind, we've just fell out because we were our motive, and then something happened and you left. Why don't we address the motive? Why am I addressing everything else around you? That's nothing to do with the motive. That's nothing to do with, I feel some type of way because you didn't invite me to your wedding. Why aren't we addressing the wedding? Why are we addressing everything else? So it actually means I was never genuine in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Because I was taking notes. Yeah, and I know your weaknesses. I know your weak points, and I know what means the world to you. Well, now I'm gonna come and steal your camera and your memory card and I'm thinking, but that's his livelihood, bro. Like, that's what he lives off. Just because I didn't get invited to a wedding, or just because I didn't get a response from him when I wanted it, and it took him 4 days to come back to me, not 2 hours or 2 minutes. It's like that. All of that, that massive emotional imbalance is mad. Absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. Okay, so the next question I wanted to ask is, we know, Wall of Entertainment, Wall of Comedy.
Big up the team.
Has become, even in the last year and a half, it's just gone on to crazy new levels.
Big up every single person in my team, man.
And what I appreciate about you guys is that you guys have managed to put people on,
100%
from different areas, and who now stand in their own right, as entertainers.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Social media personalities.
It's good to hear someone who sees it.
Yeah,
it's great. I love it.
And even now, you guys have got a couple young guys who, who worked with you guys, but now that they're doing other stuff with Pro Direct and blah blah.
Shout
blah.
MK, shout A Smalls, Rooks 4K, the whole team, KS London, the whole team, man. Yeah. Shout out them guys.
I wanted to ask, what is a mistake that you usually, because you must get, approached, here and there, and Wall of Comedy must get approached regularly also from people who are that age, people who are my age, wanting to do things, What's a mistake that you usually see in their approach? What's a mistake that you usually see in what they're trying to do that usually deters you guys from taking those things on.
Here's the thing. I don't have the power to put anyone on. That's the truth. I don't. And I can't put anyone on.
Yeah.
But what I do have is an audience and a desire and the hunger to work hard with somebody who just wants to work just as hard. Right? The truth is, if I put you in a show tomorrow, you're not going to blow up. That's the truth. Right? You might blow up for 5 seconds or for 15 minutes, every 15 minutes of fame, and that's it. But sustaining it at the level that you see and getting brands interested in you, I don't have that power. You do. Right? My job is to come and set fire to the fuel that you've started. I'm just a matchstick, bro. Matchstick, light it up, then it goes. But I can't matchstick light up water, because matchstick light up in water, the fire's not going anywhere. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that is the whole purpose, and that's what everyone and I feel like that sometimes borderline offended, because I feel like people have an element of entitlement to go, I'm black, you're black, put me on, or like I'm from Zimbabwe, you're from Zimbabwe, put me on, like, or I'm this and I'm this, put me on, or I've got Instagram, you've got it. No, it just, I feel like a lot of thing is this, right? Story about everyone will tell you, like, you look at Philly came through, like, Philly was popping off on Snapchat, right, off his own back, nothing to do with us, off his own back. He was like doing his Sunday stories, people found it funny, everything was great. He then put that up on Facebook against all odds, that did crazy numbers. Then it was at that point you go, there's talent here. Speak to the kid. What do you want? How can we do this? Now, what then happens is I then become your GPS. You just need to give me the postcode.
I like that analogy.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then I'll tell you when to 10 left, when to keep left, when to 10 right, when on the roundabout, take the third exit. I now know that because you gave me the postcode. I can't give you the postcode and be the sat nav and the car and everything else, and you just be a passenger. It doesn't work, and that's the mistake that a lot of people do. And the thing is, it's like there's also an entitlement of one thing that really irritates me. I want to say it on here because it really grinds me that people do. Like, you send me a message on Instagram, right? Because you want me to check out something, Then you delete it. Then you send it again. I'm put off.
Yeah.
Can't lie to you, I'm put off. Because I can't lie to you, we've started to see success of what we've been doing. Look, bro, All of Comedy's been 10 years deep. We've rebranded to All of Entertainment now because of some of the stuff that we've done, like from Shower Story to Joy, to, do you know what I mean, to all of that stuff that we did, to Young Baines, to Wade in the Water, to all of these things that we've done, right? They're not all comedy, which is why All of Entertainment comes in, and also music. Like, bro, like, single-handedly, with the help of the boys, I put out the single for Chunks and Philly's Hold, and we charted 29 with that. You know, massive help from the guys at Ditto as well. But it's like, so it's all entertainment. And MK has got Bad Boy single coming out and all of this stuff. You know, there is all of these things happening, and Philly's music, Philly's tape is ridiculous. All of these things are happening because it's all entertainment. It's not just comedy. So now, if you do that, if you send me a message and I'm going, right, okay, cool, Sunday between 5 and 8, I'm going to read through all my messages and watch through all the stuff I need to watch through, click the links, whatever it is. Then you delete it and then you send it to me again. Then I haven't looked at it for another day. And then you delete it and then you send it to me again. I'm put off because I guarantee you don't do that at BBC. Guarantee you don't do that to ITV. So for me, there's a level of respect that we already kind of don't approach each other with. And off the back of that, I'm like, I'll get to it, but the fact that you want me to stop everything I'm doing to just look at whatever it is that you're doing because it's the most important thing in the world, no appreciation for everything else everything else on my shoulders, everything else the team needs. Bro, remember, we've got 15 employees, bro. That's 15 families, 15 households. On average, an household has got 4 people. So you can do the math. That's 60 people that rely on decisions that I make every day. So it's like, off the back of that, 60 people for one video that you want me to look. So you want me to stop everything. That's the reason why you're deleting and putting it, because you want it to keep coming up at the top. it's not gonna work.
And they assume that you don't see that.
Yeah, assume I don't see it, and you don't. But you gotta remember, because my Instagram is so small and private, and I don't have 1 million followers and get 1 million DMs a day or whatever it is. Nah, it's not. The traffic is very, very manageable. But I put stuff in time. I don't wanna, when my employees coming to me saying, look, something's wrong with my mom, or I'm having issues at home, I'm having personal issues. Everything stops because I need to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So when you then keep doing it, it's like, it's a bit selfish.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't work with a character like that.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong, though. You could just be eager.
Yeah.
But for me, the way that comes across, selfish.
You know, it's definitely a learning curve, because I think when I started my startup company and I was so hungry and I wanted people to understand, you know, what I'm trying to do. Blah, blah,
Yeah.
I definitely made that mistake, you know, earlier on.
100%. I did too.
You know, just
You
thinking
oversell.
Everybody wants to hear you. You know?
Yeah, you oversell.
You
I
know?
did that too. But you know what it is? And one thing, like I'll tell another story. But one thing I've learned is, I don't know if you're Christian or not. I'm Christian, and like in God's timing, bro. Like everything happens when it's meant to happen. And if you sell me something and you have to keep reselling it, the chemistry is not there. Unless the only thing you want from me is money, then that's it. There's no reason for you to come back if I don't get it. Yeah. Things shouldn't be that difficult, but we make it that difficult. Yeah. And sometimes we have to respect each other with a certain level of respect. Like if you're going to come to me with something, like make it as if that's your last shot. And if you've done that and I haven't responded, I was never interested. I was never interested in that. So that's the thing that I feel like people don't kind of get in that world, because I did the same, bro. Yeah. I've had the same mistakes. Yeah. I've made exactly those mistakes, but I've made mistakes where I've gone, maybe I've oversold there. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. And like, there's a story that me and Pers will always tell. We're going to Sony, I'd like to meet someone at Sony for about another conversation that we're gonna have. And then it's like 40. This was like 4:20 as well. Hyde Park, our Uber crashes, bro. Hyde Park, Uber crash. Then we look at each other like, we need to get to this meeting and we really need to impress these people. Yeah. We start running, bro, from Hyde Park to High Street Ken. We ran all the way. Wow. No black cabs could pick us up because obviously, like, bro, it's 4:20. Yes, every other person we're bumping into is high as a kite. And the whole place is stinking of it. Do you know what I mean? But everyone is, and it's just like, you're like, got there sweating, sold, put our hopes and pins on it, even emailed back, chased, did this, did that, did all the whole shebang. Like, if you want to see this, here is this again. And then by the time we actually managed to get the investment we needed and it wasn't really investment, but get some money that we needed for the business, it was a lot smoother. The chemistry was there. People understood. Conversations were had. We still have great relationship with them now. We're about to do another deal together and all of this stuff is happening. Then you're like, I didn't need to run. Like, I needed to work hard, don't get me wrong, but I didn't need to run from flipping Hyde Park to wherever you were. You know, I didn't need to have all of these time pressures and I'm emailing you, sorry, our Uber's just crashed, we're going to be like another 10 minutes. Like, I didn't need to do any of that stuff. Me and Persa sat next to each other in an Uber, rehearsing our lines, how we're going to attack it, looking at stuff and doing all of that stuff, right? Yeah. Didn't need to do that. But at the same time, I did need to do that to learn how to get there. Absolutely. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. But however, when I was having the conversation, it's the same conversation as this. And I always tell my little brothers this, right? My little cousins. I'm like, look, if you're having a conversation with a female, with a girl, right? Or even my sister, we have the same conversation with my sister. Like, if you're having a conversation with a guy or you're getting to know each other with someone, right? It shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't be. Yeah. It shouldn't feel like hard work and you keep pushing it. You should just be more organic, more general, and more in it, because everyone is putting their best foot forward. And if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So the thing for me is just have your best foot forward and be prepared to accept whichever way it goes. That's the thing, you know, everyone, I think when you try so hard and you really, really want to, you know, you dream about an end result, when you don't get that end result, you know, your response, like you said earlier, actually in this podcast, is what matters, you know, after that mistake or after that hiccup that you make. Yeah, just take a look at yourself. I speak to myself in the mirror so much that my sister thinks I'm mad. Crazy. She probably thinks, or she probably thinks like, because she's just moved in with me now as well, which is another reason why when that whole leak happened, I was going crazy, because it's not just me anymore. I've got my mother's daughter in here as well. Do you know what I mean? Like if it was just me, yeah, it is what it is. I'll take it. But there's somebody else's life you're putting at risk here. Somebody else's life you're putting in danger here. And it's the second time that's happened. The first time was when this PR company sent something to my house for Philly, and they've written Young Philly on it. And then I'm hearing a buzzer on downstairs. I get downstairs, there's like 20 people waiting to rush in to meet Young Philly. Wow. Bro, like, so you gotta understand, like when you're not for that world, it's actually quite it's actually quite bad.
You know, some people don't actually, I think maybe in the last maybe the last year or so, people realize that fame is really not what it's supposed to be. And you know, for you to have had that realization from such like a young age, you know what I mean, it's really I think it's inspiring in a way. And the fact that you're still, if you wanted to, let's be honest, you know, you could, you know, use the platform and use the resources to kind of, you know, push your own stuff out there, but you decided to just take a backseat and just enjoy your success.
I'm better behind it. I'm better behind the camera. I don't really do a lot of interviews. I don't really do a lot of stuff. I only do it if I feel like it's organic enough, it's natural enough, and it fits. I don't really go and like press runs and do this and I don't. Yeah. I just stay back and chill.
Do you think it's something that you ever consider doing in the future?
Hell no. Bro, I'm so comfortable behind the scenes. It's unreal. Yeah. And I love it. And I love it. I can come up with the ideas. I can do your Chef Asylums. I can do your this. I can do your this. I can do your whatever shows that you want to watch. I can do all of that stuff. And you still enjoy it. Yeah. You don't have to enjoy me, enjoy the work. And I understand, like, even people in this room that behind the camera, if they were not here, this is never going anywhere. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And as much as we're the ones in front and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, the conversation was great or was not great, whatever feedback we get, those guys needed to play a part. And I'm happy being that guy. Yeah. So happy being that guy. It's unreal.
And I think it takes a lot of humility because, you know, everybody wants to be the person that, you know, their face is attached to something to get the credit or whatever, you know. And really and truly, you know, once you get that credit, like I said, it's fleeting. You get it and then it goes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We have a golden question that we always ask every guest that comes on. What's the best mistake you've ever made? What's the mistake that you feel has either taught you the most or made you, you know, the man who you are today?
It's two things, two sides to it. That's a good question. That's a good question. But I'd say two of them, right? Two of them because they live in separate lives. The first part is career choices, right? I was at this company called Rumble, one of my favorite companies to work at. Place I saw the world with that place, and you know, traveled to like Gibraltar, Copenhagen, etc. I was trusted, and I was doing really well career-wise there. And I was there for like 3 years, right? Then I was just like, I needed a different change, and I just needed to do something. And Game came along, right? And off the back of Game, that's how I met Jivan and Percy and et cetera, and ended up teaming up together. But when I was going to Game, I got my job interview at Game, got the job, got the offer. I'm now serving my notice at Rumble, and I loved everyone there, right? And every other week, you know, every other day, my manager would be like, yo, like, you sure, you know, you can still stay, whatever. And then Game put out profit warning to say, right, they're going to make some redundancies and they haven't made enough money, blah, 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 blah. And then I remember, like, every director at Rumble sent me that to say, are you sure you want to go? Bro, I was like, I considered it, you know. I considered calling Game and going, yo, like, I don't think this is going to run, you know. Yeah. And then it was quickly quite like, I was like, nah, I would do it. Because of faith, I was like, God would have not given me this job if it wasn't for me. So if I'm supposed to take this job and then God be made redundant, I'm okay with that. God has a plan for me, bro. Let's do this. Prayed about it. Let's do this. Took the job. And now look. If I never went to Game, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Wow. That's crazy.
There'll be no, we wouldn't be sat here having this conversation. If I listened to, because it's a huge mistake, you know. You go into a company that you know is not making money.
Yeah.
Huge mistake. Like, you wouldn't do that.
How long did you end up staying there?
I was game for like 3 years. Yeah.
That's crazy, yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like, and imagine I'm same age as you and now. I was 23 at the time, 24 at the time I was leaving Rumble. By this time I traveled, bro. Started Rumble when I was like 20, 21, 22. Right. And I was loving it, bro. Yeah. Like, I have no bad thing to say about anything that happened at that place in terms of like my experience, my career, my progression, and what they did for me and how I felt protected. Like, I would go into meetings knowing that the finance director's got my back. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I would do things knowing that even if I make a mistake, it's cool. We can have a conversation about it. But I left that to go somewhere where I was going to be the new kid, last in, first out, cheapest one to get rid of, no job security, this, that, and the other, and got multiple promotions while I was there. Do you know what I mean? And lived so well while I was there, and which is great. And now was the bridge to bridge me into everything I've always wanted to do. I mean, the passion to do it was always there. Do you know what I mean? It was always like, and which is why like after every 2 years I'd kind of shift jobs because I hadn't found the thing that was really for me. And that's for me is probably the best mistake I made. Because I realized I wanted to do this when I was at uni. Because my time at uni, luckily, I went to uni with Crept, right, in Portsmouth. No clue who Crept was, right? This was the turning point for me to start believing in myself. I've never told him this, but one day I'll tell him. Or you might hear it from me, you never know. And then off the back of that, I remember there was a day where at uni, he comes back from London, right? It was going in. One of my really good friends at uni, a guy called Michael, was close with Crep. They had a song together from back then and did this, that, and the other. And then Michael's like, he's teaching me about the London music scene and me and him, because I'm from Leicester. So back then, which is, you know, still breaks my heart till now, and I would love to do something about it one day. There was a lot of talent coming out of Leicester, but it was never coming out. So you had people like LJ, people like Wonder, people like, who else was there? QC, Taps, Wallace. Those guys were like doing music, and one of the best producers I think there actually is in our country, a guy called Too Slick, incredible Trevor, incredible producer. But they're all from Leicester. So I kind of knew them because my brother was in that same area and da-da-da-da. So we're clashing. We're doing a sound clash, Leicester versus London. And he keeps playing me some Crapton Conan stuff, some Craptalone, some Conan stuff, this, that, and the other, some Cadet stuff, and this and that. And me and Blaine Cadet, God rest his soul, ended up being really, really close friends as well. So seeing him coming back from London, coming back to uni, saying, I've just done this crazy thing, right? And then I go home for summer holidays. This crazy thing he was talking about is blown off, right? And I was like, not to say like I'm as talented or whatever it is, but here is someone who I see every day come into the Richmond building, do this and do that, and is doing, you know, not the same course. He did accounting, I did economics, but we've got similar modules and some across the two, following his dreams, doing what he really likes to do and making it. What's my excuse, bro? Yeah. He's still doing uni. He still's got a degree. He's still doing all of that. What's my excuse? And that's when I started coming out my shell a bit more and started going, I need to chase it. But I didn't have a route. Then until I went to game, that route became a lot more open. And then, here we are now.
Thank you so much for coming onto the show. It's been amazing.
I appreciate it.
You know, I can't wait to see where you get in the next 2-3 years. You know,
I can't wait to see where you get next 2-3 years, man. I love the startup because enjoy this part, bro.
Yeah,
like absolutely. This is where you learn everything. This is where you make all your mistakes. This is where you like define yourself. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I'd say take it, make the most of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, and
it's been a pleasure.
Wishing you all the best in the future.
No, thank you, man.
For you guys who've just listened to Tafara talk, please do comment in the comment section wherever it is, Instagram, you know, whether it's on YouTube, and make sure you give us a podcast rating, 1 to 5 stars on Apple Podcast. But yeah, you know, this has been My Mistakes Made Me podcast episode number 1. So much more to come. And stay tuned and stay up to date with all comedy. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about and shout out?
I just say keep posted. We've got a lot of interesting projects coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know when this is gonna come out, but hopefully by this time the stuff come out, we would have made some of the announcements. But there's a lot of stuff that we're working on. You know, this year looks big for us, and next year is even bigger. So, you know, we're talking feature films, we're talking dramas, we're talking entertainment shows, televisions. So yeah, let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, bro.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
it.